Welcome to our second series of Lessons from a Birth and Baby Business Owner. This is a show where we'll be speaking to those who are in or who have been in the birth and baby business world to ask them the questions that you would like to know the answer to on how they got to where they are in business today. Hello, my name's Anna LaGrange and I'm one half of Baba Business, the Birth and Baby Business Academy.
And my name is Liz Stanford and I'm the other half of Baba Business, the community membership for birth and baby business owners. And today we get to chat to the lovely Gayle Berry. So Gayle is the founder of Blossom and Berry, the world's leading parent and baby wellness teacher training school and community. She has built a community of over 2,000 students, teachers and graduates over the last 20 years, reaching millions of babies across the globe. Gayle is also an author of around 5 books, might be more, a visionary and a mentor for women in business, and guides them through the midlife, metamorphosis, and into their empress era. So, Gayle, we are so happy to have you on the podcast because obviously we've both known you for years now, and we've seen you scale and grow your business and change your business and change yourself as well, and go through so many different things in your life, which I think you'll probably agree has informed really where you are now. But I think what everybody would love to know is what led you to start your business and how was it like in the early days? So I don't know if you can transport us back.
Yes, of course. Well, I love talking about this because it really is, it really shows what's possible in the birth and baby space. Because I think sometimes we might think that, you start a birth and baby business because it works around your family, and you don't realize that you're actually a village visionary. You're actually a leader. And that actually the work that you're doing really can change humanity. That's where I come from. I know when I first started that I thought, this was something that would work around my family. I was a corporate finance lawyer in the city. When I got pregnant unexpectedly with my daughter, I knew that wasn't going to work because I was working 12 hour days. That was never going to align. And when I had Emily, Emily's like my soulmate. She came to teach me many, many things, and I wanted to spend as much time with her as possible. So I was looking around for something to do, happened to go to a very random baby massage class in Hackney, just on, I don't know what took me there apart from the universe, to be honest. And I ended up in that class, in that 1 hour. By the time I left, I decided to give up my whole career as a lawyer, like 7 years studying to train to be a teacher in 1 hour. It was that strong, the call that I had. This is what I need to do. And of course, everyone thought I was totally nuts. You can imagine, I'm on maternity leave from it's difficult to even understand. I was like 26, and I think I had a salary of about £40,000 back in 2000. Okay, it's crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
And also I had amazing prospects, and I was really well respected, but I just gave the whole thing up to be with Emily and to follow this path. And I trusted, because obviously back then as well, just let me tell you, baby massage was seen as very weird. It was not like it is now. It wasn't in children's centers, it wasn't in family hubs, it wasn't on the internet. It was just like this strange thing that maybe a few hippies in Hackney were doing, basically. But I was like, no, for me, it was never that. It was about somatics. It was about the power of touch, about the power of movement, how that keys directly into infant mental health, how it helps with infant development, basically, and also why community matters so much for parents, why we're not supposed to parent in isolation. So for me, I don't know, I just got some really high level download from this one class. And because I'm an action taker, I just burned the law down, and I just went for it. So it was beautiful, because then I ended up becoming pregnant twice in 3.5 years. So I had 3 children under 3.5 years. So that actually reflected to me that that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to really, really anchor into the mother archetype, and then also support other mothers. So everything was perfect. And even though I can say that now, looking back, I did know that because I wasn't scared. Like, in theory, I should have been a little bit like, what the hell am I doing? But I never, ever doubted it. I just always was like, yes. and the fact that I could be with my children, for the majority of the time, that was the key. That was the key factor.
Wow, that's amazing. I've got so many questions already, because I know that people are going to be listening to this or watching this and thinking, like, I have such a strong passion for baby massage, or whatever it is that they're doing, that their passion is, and they would also love to give up work and like step fully into it and embody it and just go all in, but they're scared, they're frightened, and they worry that, all the practical side of things, like paying the bills, the mortgage, providing for the children, etc. And what if it doesn't work out? So where did that like trust come from for you? Like, did you always have it, or was that the first time you kind of experienced it?
Yeah, so that is a really interesting question, because keeping it totally real for everyone, during that time that I decided to become a baby massage instructor, I had to change massive things about my life. So first of all, I sold my really big posh house that I had from being a lawyer. I had to sell that and completely downsize. That's number one.
Yeah.
Then I didn't go on holiday for about 7 years. I had a book that was like how to feed your kids for £5 a week. I had
Wow.
2 jobs at night. So when my kids went to bed, I also went out and worked in a cafe at night. So let's be real about this. That it's not just, oh yeah, ta-da, like, then I started earning £1 million. It's not like that.
No.
What that shows me and people listening, that's my commitment to my path. It wasn't an easy path. I was so committed that I wanted to spend time with my children in the day, and I wanted to serve, to create these communities for baby massage and yoga, that I sold my house, that I worked 2 jobs at night, and I showed up for my vision, even though, it was not clear at the time. But something in my heart said, just keep going, keep going. And then obviously now with Blossom and Berry, we're £1 million business. We've got 5 global branches. We've got charitable projects across the world. Like you said, I've authored many books, been on TED. But back then, I was just a mum with a skint mum. That's probably the best way to describe myself. But with the knowing that if I just kept going, eventually it would work. Now, the other really important thing about this, if anyone's listening, is that everyone wants success, okay? Overnight success with 3 children under 3.5 would have broken me. I would have burnt out, and my children would not have even seen me, which was the entire purpose of me leaving my corporate finance lawyer career. So all of those years in the trenches where actually it wasn't flowing to me like fully abundant. Yes, I was teaching baby massage classes. I was working for children's centres. So I was earning money, but we were not abundant. I'd given up this big job in the city. My husband also gave up his job. We kind of like lost 75% of our salary in about 2 years, but we chose that for our lifestyle. My husband didn't want to commute to London, and I wanted to be with my children. So this is the thing, like everything you see with people who are successful, there is a story behind it. They're not just like a fast track to where you're going to go. It can be, if there's no barriers, and I really believe if you step into something and you absolutely give it 100% focus, you can fast track. But most people, the path is a bit wobbly. It goes up and down. You get a bit lost. You need to ask someone for a map to find the way. It's a journey. It's a journey. And actually the joy in that is that now I can look back at that and actually say to people, like on this podcast, don't give up, because that's what happened to me.
I'm so glad you said that, aren't you, Anna? I mean, I think sometimes people look at people like you, Gayle, and just think, oh, it's all right for Gayle, she can do that. But all of those things, I didn't even know like those things, and I feel like I know you pretty well. And that's like that is such commitment. I think sometimes people think there's 2 options: either stay where I am, working in a soulless job that I hate, when really my passion is to work with parents, babies and families, or give it all up and just focus on my business, which we all know is going to be pretty slow at first, especially if you've got no business experience or history. And then, so that doesn't feel like those choices feel quite scary, but what you're saying is like, no, there's a different path for everybody. You've just got to find your way to it. And I love that, definitely.
Yeah, it's with your commitment, really. That, like, for me, my commitment is the same, if obviously more than it was back then. But when you know, and it's your life at the end of the day. There is no way to know when you decide to do any training. It doesn't matter whether it's birth and baby or anything. There's just no way to know. You just got to think to yourself, what is the vision? That's why I think I do a lot of work, like with the Village Visionary program. This is the thing. It's like, is that next level of leadership. There's a lot of courses that are about expertise, and we have lots of courses like that, but actually what we need is female leaders who are so committed to their path that they are going to show up and really create these spaces that we need. And what that does is it inspires other women to go, God, like, I can do that too. So it's this village visionary energy that I think I had that at the beginning. And that's why I really lead on that in my community, like with my specific kind of program, which, is everything that we do in the first 1001 days of life. That's the energy that I bring there is, are you the village visionary? And it makes a difference. It really does.
Yeah, I love all this, because I think there's, we're so conditioned from school to have the whole, education, exam results, then you're on your pathway to whatever. For you, it was law. It might be something else for somebody else, And I just think it takes a lot of courage to step outside of that. And you must, like you said, you must have had a lot of criticism, I'm sure, from your work colleagues, but even from families. I'm sure a lot of their fears they voiced to you, their fears for you, they voiced to you. That must have been really hard to deal with. But like, what I'm feeling from what you're saying is, you just, like, your belief in the concept, the idea, your purpose was so strong that you just kept going, and you were able to sort of just, I don't know, step aside, I suppose, from all that conditioning you had from education to go on this pathway. But maybe you just hadn't yet found well, obviously it's obvious now, you hadn't yet found your thing. I'm always talking to my kids about this, because my kids they're a bit younger than your kids. My eldest is 17, so he's just about to go into his last year of education. And then the others are a little bit lower, but I'm always trying to talk to them about this. They want to do these traditional paths of, going into, my son actually wants to go into law, but, whatever it is. And sometimes you just want to say, but, just want you to be happy. I don't want you to worry about money or going into the right thing or what your teachers tell you to do. And I'd love to know a little bit more, though, when people did, share their doubts with you. Probably you felt a lot of judgment as well, silent judgment behind the scenes as well. Like, how did you not let that knock you? Because I personally find that stuff really hard. It kind of really makes me doubt myself. So yeah, how do you deal with that?
Well, I didn't really have an option, because I refused to live my life in the way that the other option was working 12 hours a day in a city law firm with my kids in wraparound care. There was absolutely no way I was going to do that. So it was kind of like, I don't care what you guys say, because, this is not why I've been given the gift of being a mother. Like, for me personally, like, not all women feel like that. Like, I've got girlfriends who are like, I cannot wait to get back to work because this maternity leave is driving me wild. Like, give me my Starbucks coffee and a quiet tube journey. I'm really happy. So this is just me. So it's not to judge or shame anyone listening to this right now. But for me, it's completely embodied, because I've been in service to mothers for over 23 years. Because for me, that motherhood was an absolute gift that was just kept on giving. Even though I had very young children, I didn't find it difficult. I think it's because I was surrendered. Maybe I was outnumbered as well, to be honest. Like, there was no point in even trying to put up a fight and do anything, because there were so many of them. But I didn't listen to them, because I just knew that the alternative, like what they were saying, the safe road, it was safe. It was predictable. I knew what would happen. I'd be in that job. I'd be making more money. I'd be working longer hours. I'd be away from my kids longer. I could see that path. The other path, I couldn't see at all. Nothing. I was like, okay. But I was like, but I really, 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 really don't want to go down that one. So whatever is down this one is going to be better. And I just trusted that that would be okay. And I think that that is all about life. I mean, I'm still doing that now. You know, I'm still doing that now. When I went to India at the beginning of the year, and left my kids. I'm saying my kids are in their 20s, like, but I still really feel like I'm their mum and they need me there all the time. But you know, I decided I was going to go to India for 2 months. I was in the airport crying my eyes out, going, "What are you doing? You have a house at home. You have children. You do not need to go to India. Why?" And I was literally crying, trying to. And then I was like, "No, I want to go to India." I got on the plane, and then that has just been that was one of the most significant trips of my entire life. So I think I meet myself in these edges all of the time. But rather than back down, I just sit with myself quietly and just trust. And then the next door opens. And, you know, that's what I would say. If you're looking at how my business has developed, every single time I've been at my edge, every single time. There's not a time where I've gone, you know, like, oh, yeah, that's definitely going to happen. It's impossible. That's life, you know. And actually, that's why I think entrepreneurship gives you such a resilience for everything in your life, because you know that you are just in co-creation with everything. You've got to surrender, you've got to show up, you've got to do your best, you've got to listen, you've got to learn, you've got to be still, you've got to reflect. It's for me, it's the most creative process that you could ever be involved in. That's why I love it so much. That's why I have multiple businesses, because I can't stop myself.
I love all of that. I can really feel like the things that you're saying are going to be landing with people listening to this. And something that's come up, and we've mentioned your husband, who's your ex-husband now, a few times, and I think this is something that people struggle with when they're starting out a new business and they're facing these different kinds of decision, is that the support they have around them, usually from, you know, the partner or whoever is closest to them, is something that can kind of make or break the situation. You know, so I've seen people who are super passionate, really promising, like, future in terms of like working in the birth and baby world, but they don't have the support from their husband. The husband is too risk averse and I'm not saying that that's wrong or that's bad, but it makes them just stop and not move forward. So did you ever have any sort of blockers from him, or was he, because I know you're still, like, you know, you're still close and everything, so yeah. did you have any blockers, or was it like, no, go and do whatever you want, or how did it go?
I love this is a very juicy question, Liz. This is a very juicy question. Like, I don't normally get asked this, but I'm really loving it. Okay, would you want? I'm going to do the real tea on this. I'm going to be truthful.
Yeah.
So my ex-husband, he just said, okay, if you want to do it, you do it. And he supported me like that, as in he trusted me, which then allowed me to have no restrictions to go on to do what I wanted to do. He was extremely busy as a lawyer, so he was not around at all. So in terms of like physical, like support with the children, there wasn't any, because he would be up he would go at 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. He'd be back at 8. Yeah. So there was no actual practical support in terms of me balancing a business and having children. There was also like, I used to work late at night when I started Blossom and Berry as a training school. I would be I'd put my kids to bed and I would work from 9 p.m. till about 1 a.m. in the morning, quite a lot, like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And that did cause a lot of arguments, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, he would be a bit like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, why are you spending all this time doing this? Like, you know, we were one of those couples that we always like get into bed together at 10 a.m. and say, no, you know, switch off the lights, you know, like in a Hollywood movie. And when I stopped doing that and started to actually stay up late, it caused quite a lot of friction. Mm-hmm. And there was many little arguments about me having my laptop in bed at night. I'm just going to do this email before I go to sleep. And it would be like, oh, you know, so it wasn't easy, actually. I don't think Joe really understood what I was doing, but he knew it was making me happy, so he left me to it. But ultimately, that is why my marriage ended. That's why I'm saying it's a juicy conversation, this.
Wow.
So my marriage ended really because I was spending a lot of time on my business. I was getting amazing opportunities to travel around the world. Obviously, I set up my charity. That introduced me to a whole different a whole different group of people, and I was going away a lot, traveling to teach, and he didn't really like that so much because he was also working, and it had always been me looking after the kids, and even though the kids were older, that didn't land too well. So that's the truth, is that actually the one of the sacrifices of following my path is that it did ultimately end my marriage. So there you go. Yeah,
Well,
that's me being honest about it.
Yeah, and thank you for your honesty. And that probably terrifies people listening to that, going, "Oh no!" So one of the consequences of my success could be that my marriage ends. But I think we're all different. We all take different journeys, different paths, different partners, and they'll have different responses and reactions. And then, so my next question after that, and I hope this isn't too juicy, is there any regret then in terms of that? You feel like that was the right thing to happen?
No. my ex-husband is now with the most perfect woman that I could pick for him. Honestly, like if I could find the most perfect woman that would, that he is in such a beautiful relationship now that absolutely suits him, and I'm really, really, really happy for him that he's doing that. And I am traveling the world as a nomadic gypsy, having the time of my life. So like, this is the thing about, like, what is success? Is success having a 23-year-old marriage? I had a marriage for 23 years, but at the end, it wasn't a success. It just wasn't. It had finished. It had been 23 years, and then it ended. So I think this is the whole thing about redefining from the outside what is success. Is it £10,000 a month? Is it having a book? Is it talking on a TEDx stage? Is it having a successful marriage? Is it having time with your children? It's up to you. It's up to you. It obviously, what I would say is, with anything in your life, with the ending of anything, whether it's leaving your job, your children leaving home, your end of your marriage, people in your team. God, I've had this, like, people who I love in my team, I've had to let them go. It's grief, it's sadness, it's a human emotion. Entrepreneurship is life condensed into an experience around your business, and your business will show you what is in you that it's a limiting belief or a wound or something like that. So for me, I've just got to know myself more through my business, and I have no regrets about anything that I've ever done, and I trust that what's in the future will be equally amazing, and I'm grateful for every day that I'm here living my life. So that's success for me. I'm here alive. I feel grateful and full, and I'm as passionate about my work as I was 23 years ago. So for me, that's success.
Wow, love that. I think Liz and I, we've also been married 20 odd years. So I think we both complete workaholics. So we love our businesses. We've definitely experienced that, where we do put our work before lots of other things. So that really resonates with me, and the sort of the discussions and the rows or whatever, however it shows up. I certainly hide in my work quite a lot because it is my absolute favourite thing a lot of the time, especially now my kids are older and they don't need me so much. So yeah, I think that is, it can be really hard to find the balance, can't it? But I think as well, it does take those late nights or those weekend workings or those different, there's going to be times when you are your business and it's down to you to make it a success. When Liz and I are launching or whatever, like, we are working such long days and such long hours, and we're used to it now because we've been running this business for a long time. But I definitely think in the beginning, when I was first starting the mindful breastfeeding school, I think it was a bit of a shock for Paul, how often I was doing the late nights. And not only that, I was loving it because I loved my work. And that is also a kind of foreign concept to him, that I love my work so much. So yeah, it's really, really, really interesting.
I think that you've hit the nail on the head there, is that I don't think I've worked ever. I mean, I'm truly, I mean, when I was a lawyer, yes, but since I've been on my path, I've never worked. So when someone might say to me, why are you working? I'm not working. I'm just enjoying my ability to create and lose myself in books and listen to amazing podcasts and be super geeky about my subject because I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's one of those things. This is where I think you can get talking about this in the broader way with entrepreneurship, you do get the rub against the 9-to-5ers, because in less than someone who's in a 9-to-5 is also passionate and purpose, which you can be 100%. There are so many people of service who are working 9-to-5, and obviously that does give you security. Let's be honest, like entrepreneurship, like I say, is up and down. You have the freedom to lead and create what you want, but you also are, in a relationship with your clients where if you stop showing up to some degree, then people will kind of slip away. It's like a relationship. It's like any relationships. It's like for me, I'm in relationship with 2,000 people, who have a relationship with me, like in Blossom and Berry, and I take that really seriously. Like I really do. So it's all of this reframing. It's really important. It's exactly what you said, Anna. It's like what we think about being self-employed. Oh, you're self-employed or you're 9-to-5. It's not like that. The whole thing is a creative process. You get to choose how much you work, how much you don't work, how much money you make, how much you invest in a team, like whether you go fast, whether you go slow, whether you want to become like new things I've been doing recently is like I've been doing a lot of meditations and putting them on Insight Timer for baby massage. Never thought about doing that until recently. People coming to me through listening to my voice free on Insight Timer as a meditation. Only after 23 years, I'm like, oh, that might be fun to see what happens. There's so many amazing things that you can do. We live in this world where we have so many platforms. You have your own TV show, like we're on one now. You've got your own radio station here. You can have your own meditation studio. Instagram is like, you own everything. Every part of you can show there. So yeah, I mean, that's why for me entrepreneurship is so exciting, because it's on the edge of everything. You're moving constantly with everything else. It's very sexy.
Yeah, I agree.
Something that just came up for me then when you just said, like, you can show yourself, like on Instagram, I think you were referring to, you can show yourself in so many different ways. And I think that's something that birth and baby business owners really struggle with as well, is showing up as themselves. And I think, like, maybe you can relate to this, but right back when you first set up your business, and like when Anna and I set up our businesses, the internet was not what it is right now. And I think, and they didn't even have like Facebook Live or anything. I remember when that first came out and I found it absolutely terrifying. So how did you have to get over anything in terms of showing up as yourself, or like, being visible, or like exposing these different sides of you? Because I think that really holds people back as well.
So I'm gonna. This is a truth bomb podcast. This one comes another one. So when I was a kid, I used to love like pretending I had a TV show, and I used to have like a interviewer over like 50 or know what that is, like a stereo system. I had like a microphone in my bedroom, and I used to like do these radio shows and like put tapes together. And once I realized that actually you could do that on Facebook, I just went into that. I was like, this is my little TV show. This is me, like being a kid. This is me just speaking. And I didn't really go into my head about it. Like I never, ever, ever plan anything. Even now with my master classes, anything is all just comes through. I never have notes. I just think be perfectly imperfect. Like that's what human beings are. If you were having a conversation with me, you wouldn't expect me to be knowing what I was going to say next, because I'm just in the moment. So for me, I took it as kind of like a fun thing to do. And then the more it's a muscle, the more I did it, the more I became like, I used to really look for, like, I mean, I am a little bit of the queen of reels. I literally do a reel every single day. Like I brush my teeth and then I'm like, what do I want to say today? For me, it's actually something that brings me joy. So there's no resistance there. Now, the reason why I like that is because I feel like I know something that I might be able to help one person with. I feel like I'm maybe one step ahead of somebody behind me who needs my help. So why would I be selfish and keep that information to myself when I've got the ability to beam this out to just one person? I don't really care about like ego, how many likes you get or anything like that. It's like, if I can help one person with this, I'm just going to do it. And that's how I get out of my own way time and time again. And that's what I teach my community is like, if you're going to do this, that you've got a strong why, talk to people about your why. Like, be embodied. Like, as soon as someone puts a camera on you, don't shrink, shine. Like, step up, not back, because that's how you're going to create the connection. That's how people are going to know you're the one. And it's actually like a problem for everybody in the whole world. Like, nobody's standing up and really shining because we're all worried about being judged, like everybody. And I feel like if that's one thing that I can help people with, then that might maybe when they go into a party, they might go up to someone and say, "Hi, I'm Gayle." Like introduce themselves to someone at a party because they're used to being on Facebook. It has a ripple effect in everything that you do. It really, really does. So yeah, so that's the truth. Like I actually quite loved it from the beginning. I mean, when I did my TEDx talk, don't get me wrong, I completely and utterly was like, what the heck? That was a different thing. That one I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, I can't wait to get I was shaking in my boots. But Facebook Lives, yeah, I feel very comfortable with.
Great. Yeah, definitely difficult for people. I think the reframe that you give on things, Gayle, is really good. It's really interesting, definitely.
Yeah, so refreshing. And I, you know, I loved speaking on a stage at your event back in, I think it was 2021 now, that you
Yeah.
put on that event. And I loved that. That was so good. But it was, again, like something very different to what I had done. I speak at conferences all the time online sometimes there's even like 1,000 people on there, but there's something different to getting in a room. But then it's extra special as well, because you've got that support of everybody there in person.
Yeah.
And it was such a good event. I'd love to go back to something you said about, you talked at the beginning about going to your edge and how you seem to very naturally, you've got this really strong sense of your purpose, your why, your vision, and tuning into your intuition. And I know that a lot of people struggle with that because they are conditioned on this path, or they do struggle to trust themselves or trust their vision. What do you have any particular tools, rituals? I mean, you've talked a bit about you provide meditations for others, but how do you really get, I know the more you practice it, because I've experienced this as well, the more you practice tuning into your intuition, the less you can ignore it, basically. But what about when people are really struggling? What do you, or when you're struggling, what do you use to kind of tune back in?
That's a really good question. Well, first of all, again, just to say that I used to have a terrible blushing complex. When I was a lawyer, I had this horrendous blushing complex that would start here and go all the way to the top of my head. And then obviously, if you have an issue with blushing, you'll know that once you start blushing, you then become aware that you're blushing. And I would just be burning bright red. And the reason was because I was completely inauthentic as a lawyer. I had total imposter syndrome. Now, when I first started to teach baby massage, and I thought, hold on, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to actually be presenting. And this is the thing that I know my body actually hates. You know, you couldn't even hide it. It's like in your face. A physical reaction to the idea of speaking to people, presentations, everything like that. But when I taught baby massage, because I was so passionate about it, it completely disappeared. I never had it once. And it was actually like a miracle because I just couldn't understand it. But now I do. It's because the first one, I was not being authentic and it was actually showing. So it made it physically uncomfortable for me to stay doing that. In the second one, I was totally in my path and I just thought I'm just going to share it from the heart. So things that I've done over the years really is just gone in with everything's always perfect. It doesn't matter if you have a plan, but it's the co-creation. It's the opportunity to hold space for a mum or a dad who actually shares something that actually then creates a ripple effect in the whole group where it just, I've had it where time stopped people have started crying. You know, it for me, that is the magic of circle holding. It's not about like I have a lesson plan and I need to get to the end. It's about how can I hold a space where everyone is actually seen and heard, feel that they belong and they're accepted. And if I trust that I can do that, then everything else will be magic. And so it's really about like trusting that everything's co-creation. Because also with baby massage, you go with a plan. If ever all the babies are crying, you can't do anything anyway. Like you have to just let go. Like we're in the perfect environment. Like we're not in charge. The babies are in charge. So let the babies lead, and then you kind of come from the outside. So that's what I've done is like at Blossom and Berry, we have like a masculine framework, so a structure, but then we have the feminine flow. So it's not so structured that you can't then move. Because if you're too structured like that, then people are just going to feel like they were pushed through like a little channel like that to the other end. If it's too broad, people are like, hold on a minute, I signed up for something, I don't know what's going on. So it's about this balance of the masculine and the feminine. It's really important. And that's what I bring in the classes. I think for my TEDx talk, just for anyone who's ever interested in doing a TEDx talk, it was a very specific thing that I did, is that I walked every day for 15 minutes, which was the time of my TEDx talk. I walked in one direction and back. And every day I spoke it out loud to myself. And then I came back and I did that for about 3 weeks. And by the end of it, I knew it. I can't remember it now at all. That's the really weird thing. I really can't. But when I got on that stage and the bit on the red dot and the spotlight came on me and there was 1,300 people in the auditorium, something inside of me just clicked into place and it just came out of my mouth. And when I watched myself back, I think I say once. There's no hesitation at all. So that taught me something that I don't not necessarily like, is like practice, you'll get good at something. Like, whereas I'm the girl that likes to just channel and go, okay, like what we're going to do today. For me, it was a really important lesson. So I think it's a balance of these two things. So not being so rigid about it looking like this, that you paralyze yourself and it's so rigid you can't move, but not being so unprepared that basically you're not moving forward because you're just like in chaotic, it's bringing these two things together. It's very important, the two energies.
Wow, I really love that. Thanks, Gayle.
Yeah, definitely. I love how you talk about the masculine and the feminine when you're referring to teaching or business. And I guess that this question might be quite a masculine question, but I think it's something that a lot of birth and baby business owners will want your opinion on. And that's when it comes to competition. So how do you feel about competition? Because I know a lot of birth, and I do know how you feel about competition. It's why I'm asking you. But I know a lot of birth and baby business owners can often feel, there's too many people doing the same thing in my area, or it can feel quite territorial, or annoyed, or upset, or jealous, dare I say, or frustrated at people doing the same or similar things to them who might appear to be more successful at what they do. How do you view competition, and how do you deal with that energy that it can sometimes bring to people?
Okay, I love this question, and you know that I love to talk about this. So I have 3 things I want to say about this. First of all, think about your local town. How many coffee shops are on the high street? Okay, it's not like there was one. Okay, in Wivenhoe, there's allowed to be one coffee shop. It can only sell coffee. It has to be this flavour. That's it. No one else is allowed to have a coffee shop. There's no other people serving coffee here. Sorry, this is my coffee shop. That's it. Like it's weird. It's like that's not how things are. Like there's so many yoga teachers, there's so many hairdressers, there's so many florists, there's so many mechanics.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people doing the same thing. It does come up in birth and baby. It's really interesting. It really comes up. And do you know what I think it is? And this is a bit controversial, but I'm going to go there. Is I think that it's a bit of a sister wound. So do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Well,
so
I do.
Sister wound is where you see women as competitors, and that you need to position yourself. You need to be alpha in that group. You have to dominate, or you have to be the one. It's a very masculine thing. And it's because, but women, let me tell you something. I love women. I love women. Give me women 24/7. Oh God, goddesses everywhere. So women are designed to work together, community, collaboration. So the whole thing of competition, it's a male structure. It's not what women actually are like. So it's often something inside of you. It's like, what is my trigger? Why am I getting triggered by this other person, this other woman doing this? Because we think we need to compete, but we don't. Like one of the things that I did because basically I started teaching people to be baby massage instructors in Colchester, where I lived. What do you think happened? Like there was then like 10 instructors in Colchester because that's where I was based.
Yeah.
So what I said was, work out who's doing this on this day, who's doing a class on Tuesday afternoon, this place, that place. Just talk to each other and work out how can you actually refer people to, like, okay, my class is only on a Monday and a Wednesday because that's the only time my kids are at nursery. So if there's someone on a Thursday, don't go, I need to keep them to myself. Give them to somebody else, pass them on. It's very different. It's a very different way of being. It's like a scarcity, a strange, weird scarcity mindset. And everybody has their own vibe. Everyone has their own authenticity. That's why we're not a franchise at Blossom and Berry, because there is no competition, because no one is you. You are unique. You're in your lane. They're in their lane. You don't need to, you don't need to be worrying about that. In fact, any time you're spending on competition, and I know this because it comes up in my community. Oh, I've been looking at what this other person's been doing. No, no, unless you're going for genuine celebration of that person or inspiration, do not go and sit on other people's pages going, oh, they're doing that. And this is another one. They've taken my idea. There is no thing as an original idea. Everybody is learning from everybody else. Everyone is developing. Everyone has their own way. Of course, honour the lineage. Honour, like in Blossom and Berry, we honour it's from India. These are the roots that came from Vimala McClure through the AIM to me, to Birthlight. I honour that completely through everything that I do. And also know that I had a different take on it. And that's okay. That I'm allowed to listen to music and sing a different song, So it's a when you get rid of these things, oh my God, like the freedom in your life is insane. So it's so much of entrepreneurship is mindset. It is actually loving every part of the journey, loving the fact that you get triggered by somebody else. What is this teaching me about myself? That I'm way in my masculine and I'm still thinking I need to be in the netball team as like the goal shooter and she's going to get the place. Like all of this stuff that comes with us, it's like old school stuff from when we were at school and we're taught to compete. So sorry, I'm very passionate about that.
No, I love it.
I really feel like we need to heal the sister wound. Women are meant to love each other and support each other. And it's very powerful to do that.
I agree. I really, really love that. And I hope people listening to this are, can really sort of take that on board. Because I know it can be hard when you're sitting in those really negative feelings about other businesses and like, hands up, I can remember feeling that like back in the day when, not when I first set up my business, because I was literally one of the only people doing it, but when other people started to arrive on the scene, I had that definitely, and I had to work through it for sure. But I can see totally where you're coming from and how important it is to get to that place. And that's one of the reasons why we set up BABA as a community, is to bring birth and baby businesses together so that there's more connection, sharing, collaboration, all of that sort of stuff, because it's so powerful to have that viewpoint rather than the competitive viewpoint as well. So thank you for sharing that, Gayle.
You're welcome.
So, Gayle, as we wrap up, I'd love to ask what one piece of advice you'd give, somebody who wants to create a sustainable and impactful birth or baby business.
Great question. Well, if I think about when I first started, this is a big mistake that I made, is that I trained with organisations where I got a certificate, but I didn't get support. And one thing I then did was I spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds on books. Like literally, they're here on my shelf now, still from all those years ago, because I felt like I couldn't do it. I was very not confident, and I was putting off getting started over and over again because I'm like, I can't do this, I can't do this. And in the end, I had to just get over myself and actually do it. But basically, what I was looking for back then was me. I was looking for, or you actually, you guys as well. I was looking for community, because if once you get into a community, then it normalizes every single thing that you're going through, and it makes you realize you're not weird, you're not crazy. This is totally normal. These are things that everyone else is struggling with, and you just feel so supported. So my advice would be to, and I'm not doing this as a plug for you guys, but it does kind of cross over, like with how Blossom and Berry, is to get into a community. Like that's why Blossom and Berry training is set up the way it is. The certificate is about this much of it. Then there's people in my community from 15 years ago who still come to my lives. There's people who travel from other countries. I had someone fly in from Greece to come to an in-person event with me because they wanted to be a community. It is community that will save you. Okay, doing anything hard on your own is horrid. It is not enjoyable. It's amazing to delegate as soon as you can. That's another top tip that I would say. As soon as you have any excess in your business, get rid of all the jobs that you hate and just start to be more in your genius zone. But most of all, learn from people who've done it and get in community. That is the two things for me. And that's what I'm doing now. Like I still don't know how to do many, many, many things. That's why I'm constantly investing in myself and mentoring and masterminds and retreats and events, because A, it's fun. B, I meet loads of amazing people. And I'm always learning from my business as well. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Brilliant. Great. Two very amazing pieces of advice there. And thank you, Gayle. And so before we finish, do you want to tell everybody where they can find out more about you or connect with you? And we'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, sure. So you can come on over to blossomandberry.com. So there I am teaching people to become baby massage, baby yoga teachers on our nurture side, and then tree babies and wild wellbeing teachers on the nature side, which is absolutely delicious and amazing to do and growing all of the time. I also have a very special signature program called the Village Visionary, which is a mixture of expertise in the first 1001 days and leadership with me. You get to stand on the stage at my amazing event, the Village Visionary in London, and share your vision to the rest of the community. So it's something very, very special. So you can find out all about that over at Blossom and Berry. And then if you want to follow me personally, I also have my own website, my own mentoring business. I'm in my empress era now. I've gone through menopause. So that is iamgayleberry.com, and you can follow me on Insta at iamgayleberry. So yeah, and that's about me. I mean, there's many other things that I also am doing, but I'm going to keep it to that. So
Thanks, Gayle. But I think we will also link to the charity as well. We haven't had a chance to talk about that today, but we will make sure we put a link down below. And thank you so much. I think we could have chatted for hours, quite honestly. But thank you for coming along and talking to us. It's been great.
Amazing.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it. So if you are watching or listening to this, then please do drop us a comment on YouTube, like or subscribe with your favourite podcast provider, or come over to Instagram and let us know what you thought of this episode. And just thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.